Hello, everyone. We would like to welcome you in another talk, part of our curated talks program at the Dubai Design Week 2020. This talk will be hosting designers and partners from the Swiss pavilion currently exhibiting at the Dubai Design Week in the Dubai Design District under the name Reflections on Swiss Design. Some of the participants in this pavilion are with us today to share their experiences with Design Week and also tell us more about their projects and their contributions as well. We will also hear a little bit from the other angle, the institutional angle from Manuel as well, and to understand a little bit how these type of collaborations happen and their impact on promoting the cultural export of specific countries. Okay, so today we have Raphael Lutz, who's joining from hyperactive.ly, which is a lab for applied innovation where advanced concepts can be developed and take shape. Raphael, you curated an exhibition here in the Swiss Pavilion. Also we have Oliver joining us from Freitag, which is a Zurich-based manufacturer that has been injecting used truck tarps with new life by transforming them into functional water repellent and robust bags and accessories. So this one is also approaching the theme of sustainability and reusing materials, repurposing materials into turning them into design objects as well. And we will also talk about the Swiss presence in Dubai, in the UAE, and in the Expo 2020 as well, and the Swiss Pavilion. What are the goals, objectives, and what are the hopes for this? Okay, so I will start with Raphael. Raphael, tell us more about your personal practice a little bit. I see that you are quite multidisciplinary. You started as an entrepreneur, you started your own practice at some point, and now it's turned into a research lab. So I would be interested in hearing a little bit of background about your personal practice, your story, and how it got you to being here today.
Okay, thank you. Well, everything started when I was a young boy as a son of restaurant owners, and I discovered the magical that can happen between a people and an object and also a meal. And that day I decided to become an inventor, a designer. Few years later, I started startups before studying because I was bored from my life in Switzerland. And then in 2008, I studied design, industrial design in the ECAL. And I graduated in 2012 and founded directly my studio, my designer studio, Studio Raphael Lutz. A few years later, in 2016, I decided to found another concept, hyperactive. Hyperactive is an innovation laboratory. Well, we have two activities. We have that Studio Raphael Lutz design office that design products. It's the physical way of designing. And hyperactive, that is an innovation lab based on design methods. Well, we use design methods to solve problems, to improve services and products. And we have that user-centric way of thinking. And this is really important for us to put the user in the center of all the conceptions. And this is more of an informal, intelligent way of designing things and services as well.
When you say design methods or design approaches, what are your design methods that you use? Do you have something clear, or it's the general design process that you're talking about?
Well, we are talking about something that is called design thinking or human-centered design. And that was really popular about 20 years ago with IDEO that promoted that way of concepting, that way of thinking, that way of managing. And now we are more talking about human-centered design. Design thinking is evolving, and we are really putting the user in the center of everything that concerns an enterprise. Even the management, the process, the products, the services, everything is going towards the final, the end user.
Okay. And do you usually your collaborations usually exclusive with enterprises or companies that have a commercial aspect to them, or do you collaborate with other maybe non-profit organizations or public institutions, public organizations as well?
That's a really good question. Many of our customers are startups, and then we have small SMEs, small companies in Switzerland. And then we have the big concerns, big multinationals as a customer as well. But we also work with the state by promoting that approach of putting design in everything and being innovative. What we call innovation in our innovation lab is making, mixing various people together and to find solutions as quick as possible and to fail as quick as possible to reattempt and to refine new solutions as quick as possible. And this is exactly the concept of bring your own mask, the exhibition we brought to Dubai. Um, Bring Your Own Mask was a project we initiated in March when we were on lockdown in Switzerland. And we were seeing a huge problem. The first problem was the ecological problem of these once-use disposable masks. And then what we saw was that that mask was bringing fear to people, was anxiety provoking. And we decided to invite all our Swiss designers colleagues to redesign this mask. And we gave them 1 week to redesign the protective mask. And we let them totally free about the conception, the materials, and whatever. And after 1 week, they produced 3D renderings and also they gave us the 3D files. And during that time, we set up a website to make a virtual exhibition of that project. We received 36 projects from 41 Swiss designers in 1 week, and we were able to put it on a website and to show it to everyone that wasn't able to see it in a normal exhibition. And now, being here in Dubai, this is for us kind of an apogee because this is the first time this exhibition comes physical. And this was only possible by 3D printing the prototypes and also printing all the 3D renders and to put it on the scenography. So this exhibition is quite innovative as well because you can have it virtually and you can also have it physically and to make it produce on the sites that are going to be exhibited. And what we wanted to do with that project is also to show to the world and also to the companies in Switzerland and in Europe that the creatives, the designers can offer a strong response to every crisis. And this is what I call innovation. And this is what we do with hyperactive. We try, we fail, we try again, we fail again, we try again, and we succeed. And this is exactly what we did with that by Bring Your Own Mask project.
Okay, and it's how are the visitors interacting with this exhibition? Are they interested in it? Are they
Yes, they are. And I'm really impressed by the culture here in Dubai. People are really eager to know, really curious. They ask really smart questions. They ask questions about the feasibility of some projects. the business behind some projects. And I have to tell them, guys, this was just a show of the know-how of our Swiss designers. Only two projects were industrialized on the 36 that were presented. But the thing is, when people ask me today, well, it was the smartest question ever. Okay, but in 3 months, when we will have the vaccine, we won't need masks anymore. And I answered, you're right, but there is other problems to solve with these masks. For example, the pollution in Asia, they need masks. They need protective masks as well. So we can rebound on that allegation and to offer a second use of that project. Because this is the design. When you design a chair, whatever the use you do, the innovation behind it makes it everything.
Yeah, it's about the process, the research part. That's the important one as well, as much as the end product. It's not only about just how the end product looks or it is. It's also like going through this whole research that generates maybe other data or information or ideas that could be repurposed later, and this knowledge is not just wasted. It's actually reusable as well. Okay, thank you, Raphael. We'll talk more about this project and other projects by Hyperactive, particularly the ones related to food and design and all of the different experiments that you have been doing and their impact as well on society and on the industry in general. I would like to hear from Oliver now. Hi again, Oliver. I also was reading your bio and learning more about what you do, and also your journey seems to be quite unconventional for a designer or for someone in this field. You started. You have a completely different backgrounds and quite multidisciplinary. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your practice, and what brought you here today to design make?
Yeah, well, hi, thanks for inviting me. Yeah, as a 17-year-old, I actually traveled the world as a professional snowboarder while I had to leave University of Arts in Zurich because at that time it wasn't allowed to do sports and studying. So it was Kunstgewerbeschule, so a very strict way of teaching arts. And yeah, but so thanks to my mother, that wasn't so easily seduced by trends. I went to commercial and management school and graduated there. So that means I have both parts in my heart, which is creation and entrepreneurship. So, and this is actually, this described my personal career. So after 15 years as an entrepreneur with an agency, an international agency, selling this agency, I joined Freitag again because I already founded a company with the brothers Freitag in the year 2000. It was a fashion company. And since then, we worked our way through a new way of organization form, and I'm now actually leading the company as a company lead today. But my roles also include in this company creative direction, which I co-fill or have co-assigned with other members of the organization. So that means I'm not doing this work by myself. So I'm doing this work together with 2 more colleagues. So I have different roles in our company now. We're 250 people, but my main roles are strategy and creative direction.
Can you give us a little bit of background about Freitag and a little bit of history and how did it start as a company and where it is now? What changed? What are the current interests as well? And yeah, that's it.
You want to know the company history, or?
I mean, not particularly the history of the company, but how did how did it change? What transformations it went through? What type of products it used to do, and what's the focus right now? What's the transition? Was there a kind
Yeah.
of a transition?
Yeah, I mean, based on the DNA of the founders that were creatives both. So one was a graphic designer, the other one was a window decorator. And on a personal need, so the story is well told and told many times, that it derived from a student's needs to have a solid bag. So a robust material, to upcycle a robust material in 1993 was something pretty new. And today still when we are in a super tsunami of sustainable trends. So there's a lot of marketing talk about sustainability. We're not saying this word at all because our ambition is to close cycles. Um, and so that's why this word actually doesn't exist. So we talk about intelligent design in general when we talk creative processes. So for us, it's not that we are now, because this idea is still very valid today, a sustainable company. We're a circular company. That's why we call ourselves circular economy. So part of the circular economy movement. But yeah, I mean, the idea is 27 years old and still valid, and we're constantly developing the materials. So we're a material brand, if you want. So we actually also launched a completely cradle to cradle fabric line 7 years ago. So that was 7 years ago, is a pretty long time, because today the textile industry is actually starting to renew itself, because they saw that it's not sustainable at all, the fast fashion rhythm they have. And so, yeah, we just closed that cycle too 7 years ago, but it was intrinsically. So we didn't want to revolutionize the world and increase our business model. We just wanted to show it for ourselves. It was the same story as Daniel and Freitag actually made their bags for themselves, and more students asked them to have one of those bags because it was unique at the same time. So it was upcycling, which is good. But then at the other hand, it's a design product, which still is in our core business.
And what's what's your design approach? We heard from Raphael saying that their approach is human-centered design. They are focusing more on it comes from conversations with people. They engage different people in their projects and in their research. How is your approach to doing your research, designing the products?
Yeah, we actually ran a set of principles. So we are very value driven and principle driven company. So we declared some rules and how to work, how to not just work on things or on services, but also how to work together. And so this is a compendium of 35 principles. So for example, the next life, as Raphael quoted it before, is a very crucial principle. So we believe even things and materials deserve a second life, and since 27 years, right? So every material deserves a second life. And if you just add this principle into your daily life, which is tricky, it triggers different thoughts. If you stick to your own rules. And then we say, intelligent. How do we describe intelligent? Hello?
I'm saying, where can we see these 35 principles? I'm sure they are.
They're not public. They're not public. So you should apply at Freitag, and then you will, if you can make it through the recruiting process, you will get a booklet with 35 principles, and then might work. So, but this is a really helpful tool actually for a lot of specialists in different areas in the company, because we are a very diverse creative company, because we not just develop products, but also services, which today are digital and omni-channel. And we have to develop space design. So we create our own spaces, our own store, our own retail is mostly experience spaces and not just retail spaces. So there's a very diverse set of creative players in the Freitag company. That's why having a set of certain rules that are kind of strict and attached to our company purpose, which is called intelligent design for a bright green future. So we believe that intelligent design leads to a bright green future. Bright green future or circular future, whatever you want to call it. So that's a soft fact, and that's what we all want to achieve for our next generation, and that's why we're here. And so these principles are directly attached to this purpose. So that means everything you do is strictly driven by these principles in the creative processes, where you can, you know, use design thinking or whatever, you know, that is necessary to achieve your goals or that fits the moment or the team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I think it's very important, this concept of intelligent design. Also, this year during Design Week, we kind of set out to put. Usually, we don't do that because it's quite a diverse. It's quite a big, large design week. But this year, because of all of the different challenges that we had to go through to make this design happen, it's a kind of a more compact version, but it's much more curated and directed in the sense it has an overall consistent thematic. And one of the main things was asking designers to adopt responsible design approaches and intelligent design approaches, because right now we are in kind of global urgencies, and I think designers have a very important role to address these issues, be it in their own respective companies, but also collaborating with other institutions. Which brings me to Manuel. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Hi.
Hi. So we heard from two different. Can you guys hear me, or because I'm being told that I'm
No, it's all good.
Okay. Okay, so we've heard from two different design companies, let's say, or no, I'm not going to say design companies, but organizations that are very design centric, and maybe they have different approaches on how they operate. But I guess we have a lot of common points here that we are discussing about the importance of design and the importance of thinking about the way we do things. Manuel, you have a big history in organizing pavilions or representing Swiss innovation or Swiss pavilions in international fairs and international exhibitions. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about also maybe about your background a little bit, and what are you doing with Dubai right now? What's the current situation here?
Okay, sure. Well, my background, I will try to keep it very short. I studied business administration like so many other people in Switzerland because I did not know really what to do. I then started the job as a financial controller in the watch industry. I became factory director of a big watch company in Malaysia, which I really liked. I stayed 6 instead of originally foreseen 2 years. I came back to Switzerland and I knew that I would want a job that brings me out of Switzerland on a regular basis. I could not imagine to be stuck in Switzerland. That's why I actually eventually applied for a job to run the major international events for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, major international events promoting Switzerland and creating a strong image of Switzerland. I originally thought, I did not really fancy working for the Swiss Confederation too much. I thought this would be kind of dull and, you know, very restricted. So I thought I would stay for 3 years, just being responsible for the house at the Olympic Games in Athens, 2004, and then the Swiss Pavilion in Aichi in Nagoya, 2005. But then I really found out that it's a perfect combination of job for me. I'm the project manager I organize everything from the project for the Swiss Pavilion, content, recruitment of personnel, finances, sponsorship, etc., etc. And then I run the show in the host country of an export, the Olympic Games, and I said I want to continue doing this. So I've been, instead of the 3 years planned, I've been with President Switzerland and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for what, 18 years now, believe it or not. And it's actually thanks to guys like Raphael or Oliver that we usually work with that make the job so interesting. And we understand our role. Now, speaking from the Confederation and President Switzerland, that what we are doing by participating in such events, it can be an Expo Dubai, where we build our own pavilion, where we will be with our own staff for 6 months, but it can be something like Design Week. We lay the carpet and then invite partners to come and play on this carpet. And we invite partners like Raphael that can promote Switzerland as a hub of innovation. The same goes for Oliver, but Oliver, there's also a commercial aspect with it, because they were the young and wild, and now they're commercially established. They're still young and wild, I believe, but they're commercially established, and maybe they use the Swiss Pavilion to sell more, and they help us to communicate Switzerland as a hub of innovation. And that's how we understand our role. Obviously, in the context of Expo Dubai, which will be visited by people from around the world, we will also be talking about Switzerland as a tourist destination. We don't only talk about Switzerland as a hub of innovation, but even communicating Switzerland as a tourist destination, we will definitely touch on the fact that there is a very good system of public transport available in Switzerland that allows you to come to Switzerland by airplane maybe, but then completely rely on the public transport while you visit Switzerland. That's also something that I consider innovation coming from Switzerland.
Okay, and so basically you're not particularly focused on cultural programming. It's more representing different types of exports related from Switzerland, as I understand.
No, once again, maybe maybe for me to be a little bit more precise, basically what we are doing from President Switzerland, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we build a pavilion, we lay the red carpet, and then we invite people interested in the market or interested in communicating themselves, their products, their services to the region. We invite them to come and play on this red carpet. So either we integrate them into our exhibition, which will be the case for Freitag. We will talk with Freitag about upcycling. All our staff will also be carrying a small Freitag bag, obviously, to make the brand visible. We invite people like Swiss tourism destinations to come and present them Switzerland as a destination, and we invite the culture to come and play. We invite DJs, artists, musicians, acrobats, etc., etc.
In that sense, how do you make sure that the selection process is quite representative of all of the different maybe communities or
very, very good question. There are some dependencies as the Swiss government, since our pavilion in Shanghai 2010, between 1/3 and half of the money needed for the construction, operation, and dismantling of the pavilion must come from the private sector. So there is this dependency. We communicate the project usually in Switzerland and in the host country to the Swiss economy. We invite companies to come in, be with us as paying partner sponsors. Then we come up with a concept for the exhibition, for example, and our concept for Dubai we will mainly be talking about circular economy. So from this perspective, Freitag is an obvious partner. But we will also be talking about Switzerland being the world champion in recycling, for example, at least for glass and PET. I think we are still country #1 when it comes to recycling. So it's driven by the fact that we need to acquire sponsors on the one side, and then driven by what we want to talk about and how we want to how we want Switzerland to be perceived by the Emiratis visiting the pavilion, but also by the region visiting our pavilion.
Okay, and basically, how does it's all state funded? Like these projects usually are covered by. You said that there are different fundings, but the design from the designers' perspectives or the participants, they don't really have to pay anything. They are just invited to produce work and exhibit their work.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But okay, innovation can also be in the building, for example. And in Switzerland, we make it a point. There's other countries. That's maybe an interesting a topic that I would like to talk a little bit about it. There's other countries, as soon as they know that they will participate in a World Expo, they look for a general contractor or a total contractor who will be responsible for the construction of the building and the dismantling. Whereas in Switzerland, we always open it very largely. What we do in Switzerland, from the time that the Swiss government has decided that we will participate in Dubai, we make a tender inviting the creative industry, architects, scenographers, landscaping architects, the creative industry of Switzerland to propose a project with which Switzerland should be present. And then only in the second stage, after having looked at in Milan, for example, obviously in Milan 2015 being a destination closer to Switzerland, we looked at 250 proposals from the creative industry before we made the decision how we want to present ourselves in Milan. So we are very open, and we look at this as a chance, even if you're not selected, but it gives your office, your team, a chance to reflect on how Switzerland should actually present itself. So I think that's a process which is very interesting, and that we're very proud of having it like this, rather than just going directly for a main contractor to build something.
It probably offers more transparency to the whole process.
Absolutely.
Raphael, how does having a collaboration with a government entity that is proposing you chances or opportunities on that level influence your work, and how does it really help the business really grow and develop in that sense?
Well, the state of Switzerland always helped designers in the creative industries. We have that Swiss Design Award since, well, 80 years, if I remember well. There is an award in Switzerland every year that promotes the excellence in Swiss design in various fields of design, graphic design, product design, fashion design, etc. And that kind of call for projects, for example, for the Swiss Pavilion, it's really, really good for us, the creatives, because we can propose something, then we are chosen or not. This is, well, you know, it's like any award in the world. This is not a problem. Only the best are chosen, or only the most realists are chosen. This is okay. This is not the point here. But we are really happy to produce things for that. And also, we are really happy to have Swiss state-funded agencies like Pro Helvetia that helps us to promote our design in Switzerland and abroad. And they created something 2 years ago that is called Design Switzerland. This is the platform where all the call for projects, official call for projects, are listed. And you can list as a designer, young designer or old designer, and then you are chosen or not. This is not the point. But there is a lot of good promotion of the Swiss creative industry in Switzerland. This is a good point. There are other things, initiatives like Design Prize Schweiz that promotes the excellence of the design. And also they, every 2 years, when this award comes in place, they promote a topic. For example, it was the aging society the last time. And we really try in Switzerland, when we are talking about design, to keep innovation in mind, even for the officials, even for the the association that promotes the design. We have a strong industries, strong creative industry in Switzerland. We are top notch in the world and really proud to say that. And the state help us, and there are organizations that help us. So what can I say about being really happy to have that in Switzerland? I have some.
Yeah, that's quite a developed ecosystem of support, and I think designers are lucky to if they are there because they can find a lot of opportunities for them to start their careers and develop them.
Exactly. And also, if I may add, there are always things to perfect. There are always things to make a little bit better. And the thing is, we have that possibility in Switzerland to make that conversation with these organizations or the states. We can discuss with them if we are not happy with things. Right now, in Switzerland, about the Corona crisis, the main organization, the Swiss Design Association, and other design organizations and other creative organizations, is right now discussing with the federal states to help the creative industry that suffered from the Corona crisis. There is this dialogue between the state that support us and the creative industry. They know each other, and the state of Switzerland really wants to support the creative industry. This is a chance unique in the world. I really have to say.
There is appreciation about of the role of the creative industry in solving these type of problematics. It's a conversation. It's not a one-way thing. Oliver, you've traveled a lot. You've done a lot of touring. I'm interested to know a little bit how did this affect the way you plan, you strategize, you see things or your design process, and how is it important, because we're talking about Swiss design and Swiss culture, but also when we're designing as well as designers, we have to have kind of a global look on what's happening in the world as well, and it's maybe not just to be so centered around our own direct environment. How does this traveling or the importance of visiting different places affect this process? And maybe are there any ideas about because we're talking about Switzerland being kind of like a fortunate environment or privileged in a sense, but other communities are not as privileged. Do you think there is a role for businesses, for companies to support other communities, other less advantaged communities?
I actually didn't get the one question you want to ask, or is there one or many questions? Because I didn't I didn't note them all down now, but I think what is your general question you want to know? Because I can answer a lot. I can also start just if you want, and then you can.
Yeah, just because it's more of like a it's just a conversation, right? It's just
okay. Let's start a conversation. So I think travel is really restricted, right? So I actually didn't travel a lot in the last few years because also as a circle-driven company, we try to avoid business traveling. So we actually travel once or two times a year, and then we travel for 3 or 4 weeks, and we combine everything together, but no flying back and forth. The same applies to our product shipment. So for example, for us, there's no free shipping, and you order something online, there's no free shipping because shipping is not free. It's actually one of the dirtiest industries in the world. So there it starts, maybe because we were talking about traveling in terms of the Swiss support for us as Democrats, core Democrats, with a very strong history, as Raphael said, in design, starting with Helvetica, probably most favorite typography. I think so, right? Everybody's? Yeah, definitely. So yeah, of course, we can be really proud in our ecosystem of collaboration between embassy in this case, or Switzerland in general, and design and in industry in general. So we're proud of each other. So that means we have as a small country, as a small economy, pretty strong we ray out pretty strong in the world compared to the size of our impact, right? But we can create a lot of impact. That's also why we take part in Dubai Design Week. So it's actually not because we're there to expand Freitag commercially in this region, because for us, this region is actually a no-go right now, to be honest, frankly. It's because we don't see a lot of initiatives happening that bring the world forward in general. They will probably happen there because the investment level is still very high. But we believe that we have to be forerunners and influence societies with good ideas that were derived from design in our case. So, and that's why we like to be part of the initiative of the embassy to show recycling or upcycling initiatives that are not new because it's a big trend, but they're old and they're a design. They have a strong design element. So they're attractive and not just green, because green is sometimes can be very boring and very annoying. So and that's why we are really happy to have joined forces in Switzerland generally, and get asked frequently by the embassy foreign affairs for taking part in yeah, in their shows, shows outside of Switzerland. So it's not often happening, but I think it's a really, really strong collaboration between the people that are here. And that's, I mean, I didn't know Manuel before, so I meet him the first time, but I know that Lena, so one of our employees, in strong contact with them. So yeah, but I can just, it's not because, you know, they give us the room to present ourselves. So it's really, I think it's a perfect collaboration in Switzerland, at least for designers.
So I think we're close to be running out of time. So Manuel, I would like to finish with you, and I would like to hear. So we talk a lot about Swiss innovation, but also that Dubai is one of their focus is that they position themselves as they're really trying to invest more in the innovation, and this is also an industry that they want to focus on it a lot. My first question is, how do you see, what common points do you see between Switzerland and Dubai now that you've been preparing for the Swiss Pavilion in Expo, and you've had the chance to collaborate with the organizations here? And the second question is just slightly related to the Expo. If what happened this year, this whole crisis affected your plans, your original plans of the Expo pavilions, and maybe you can tell us a little bit what to expect next year in that sense.
Okay, thank you, Kazan. Looking at the clock, I will try to stay short. I think, you know, that might surprise some people. I think that one of the biggest similarity between the Emirates and Switzerland is actually the openness and the multicultural dimension. Switzerland has always been a country for immigrants, and the immigrants were actually a big inspiration and source of innovation, if I may say so. I think the biggest Swiss companies that started with innovative products, they were all founded by immigrants, among other industries. The watch industry, for example, that was founded by immigrants fleeing to Switzerland, coming to Switzerland because it was open. And there is an international spirit also in Dubai. Dubai being composed of maybe 15% locals and 85% foreigners coming here to work and then stay and live. And I think that creates a similar spirit. The biggest difference between our two countries is the lack of natural resources in Switzerland that has inspired us to be innovative, think of products and solutions that we can sell to the world, because we didn't have any natural resources to sell. So there's a big similarity and a very big difference between our two countries. But I do, and we will be coming to Dubai in our pavilion, speaking about multicultural dimensions of our two countries, speaking about open spirits. And I've mentioned it before, one of the focuses of the exhibition in the Swiss Pavilion will be circular economy, because we think in the Emirates and in the region, there's a big potential. We would like to talk to opinion leaders and media, but also to the grandmother who is visiting with her little grandchildren, that there's a big potential if the things that eventually we have to throw somewhere, that they don't go into landfill, but that they're recycled, upcycled, turned into energy, turned into whatever it may be. A t-shirt made out of PET bottles, for example, and I think that will be a focus that will be of common interest here. What has changed with the postponement of Expo, it becomes a little bit more expensive for us because we have to maintain a half-finished pavilion over 1 year before we go back in and install the exhibits. We have to pay some salaries. Yes, it has become more expensive. We might want to look at some hopefully post-COVID aspects that we would have not covered if there had not been any COVID. Collaboration with Raphael is a typical example. We're talking about masks. Who would have thought that we're talking about masks 1.5 years ago? But other than this, the pavilion will still be the same, a little bit smaller, a little bit more discreet because of financial issues. But basically, the things that we will be talking about, the events that we will be hosting, and here I have to congratulate Expo. They have come up for the first time. They have come up with focus weeks, speaking, for example, about inclusivity and tolerance during 1 week, speaking about the sustainable development goals, speaking about women on another week, and we will try to orient our content with regards to activation, not the general exhibition necessarily, but activation with events and talks and panels. We will be aligning our programming to the programming of Expo. And this is already, it has started happening. A couple of weeks ago, we participated in the Virtual Space Week, promoting the EPFL Lausanne as the cleaner of the space, which people don't know, that actually Switzerland is heavily involved going to the space and cleaning it up. And we will do so in the year leading to the opening of Expo. Every couple of weeks, Expo is organizing a virtual focus week, which will happen physically a year later during Expo.
Very good, very good. Okay, well, I hope to see you all in Expo physically. Yeah, thank you for taking part in Design Week, and thank you for your time today. And yeah, hope the rest of the week goes well. And see you soon.
Thank you very much, Ghassan, for hosting.
Thanks, Ghassan.
I wish I could be there to see it physically, but yeah.
We will send you a picture. Thanks, Ghassan. It was perfect.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
We'll be the one hearing the messages. Okay. All right. See you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Just